everyone to safe and effective use of essential oils with animals. So I'm really passionate about this. Actually, I think I've missed a, no, I haven't missed a slide. I'm sorry. Yeah. So what we're going to cover here is cool and not so cool things. So some common misconceptions about using essential oils with animals, what we do know about their safety, and how to use them we'll look at as well. Some of my favorite oils. It's very hard for me to pick my top 10, but I've tried some species specific information and some cautions that you need to be aware of. And this is one of my dogs, Bambi, who is actually a co-host, but he's currently snoozing with my rabbit on the floor here. So my name is Helene. I'm an A&E doctor. I work at a major trauma centre up in Manchester. So if there's anyone from Manchester, do say hello. I have always loved dogs and animals my whole life. And when I was actually in medical school, I really got into looking at some holistic therapies to help one of my dogs who passed away 3 years ago with some of her conditions. She had a whole host of different things that occurred during her life that the veterinary profession had done as much as they could. And so I had to start looking outside the box. I also became a canine massage therapist. I'm a canicross instructor, and I'm almost a scent work instructor if I stopped procrastinating and sat the exam. So I'm really interested in using aroma to support dogs, especially with training and behaviour as well. And I recently qualified as an animal aromatherapy specialist with Dr. Janet Rourke, who I know lots of you might be aware of as the essential oil vet. And this was just amazing because it was such a wonderful course. It really ticked all the boxes for me, and every week for our lectures I'd be there with loads of questions to ask her, and you know, it's brilliant. So I'm a dog mum to 6. I have 3 disabled dogs. In the picture there is Maz. He's a 2-legged dog from Afghanistan. I have a paraplegic Bambi, who you saw on the last slide, a blind dog Inca, and 3 Springer Spaniels who are canine athletes, and a cat and a bunny. And in actual fact, Holly may well make an appearance, as she does like to join lives. So my love of oils actually began with Inca, my dog, Inca, aka the Tinker or Tinkerbell. She was found in a river in Romania when she was just 2 weeks of age. She had her head on a piece of wood trying to stay afloat, and she was taken into rescue and fostered by a lovely woman called Doina, and came over to me when she was 5 months old. Now, she'd not had any siblings, she'd not had a mother, you know, that was a dog, and she hadn't had a lot of the experiences that puppies need to fully develop emotionally. And added to that, the fact that she's blind, her eyes haven't developed properly. So lots and lots of things going on with her, lots of fear, lots of not really understanding different things and how to behave. But, you know, an absolutely beautiful dog. But I really needed to find something that was therapeutic that would help her. And nothing that I did really worked. Canine massage she liked a bit, but sometimes she felt a bit, it was almost like she was divorced from her bottom half. So you'd be stroking her, you'd get to her back end and she'd be like, what was that? I'm also trained to be a practitioner in biofield tuning, but she hates the tuning fork. She doesn't like the sound, doesn't like the vibration. So I was desperately trying to find something that would help with her fear. You know, and I was at a conference nearly 2 years ago now, where Caroline Ingraham, who's the creator of Applied Zoopharmacognosy, was speaking, and there was also a couple of sisters from the Netherlands with another essential oil company, but we won't mention their name, and they were talking all about using oils with animals, and it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, this is it. And I had some essential oils at home that I used for my skin, good quality ones, but not obviously as wonderful as our beautiful doTerra ones. And she'd come to this event with me to fundraise, and it was quite stressful for her. You know, I wouldn't have done it again, but she was quite stressed at different times. And I gave her orange to inhale, and she took this massive inhalation and this massive exhalation, and a massive inhalation and this massive exhalation again. And she did this a few times. It was literally, you could see the stress leaving her body. Her shoulders just started to relax, and I was like, oh my goodness, this works. And I literally started so I've spent literally 2 years learning all about animals, and I just continue to learn, because this has absolutely changed the life of Inca and all my dogs and all my pets and me as well, because I started to use them for my sleep, you know, and it's just been absolutely amazing. And this is Inca and her her sister Seren taking part in her first canicross competition, and we look forward to getting back to it. So I want to talk about some common headlines that you see, because there can be a real backlash about using essential oils with dogs, and probably once a month I'm tagged in a post with one of these headlines. Also things like they don't work. I was on a group the other day and someone said they tried everything and they tried essential oils and they didn't work. And I said, well, out of interest, what did you try? And they just tried a generic essential oil spray, which had 4 essential oils in. But it might be that those oils weren't the ones that were right for the dogs. They're certainly not oils that are really pure. The spray was too cheap for a start and had lots of extra additives to it. And also, you know, one of those oils could have put the dogs off the spray. But then these are some of the danger warnings that you see, especially about things related to cats. But what also amazes me about all these things is that all these other products are for sale around the home and you don't see the warning signs for these, and these are actually far more toxic. You've got the, you know, the plug-in air freshers, you've got the J's fluid that actually says don't let your pets walk on it until the surface is dry. You've got good old Flash, and then you've got these treats that are for sale in pet shops that just, I mean, they are horrible. They're full of E numbers and things like that, not healthy for your pet, but they are sold for pets. So it always amazes me. So what do we know? We know that the majority of the time there is problems. It's because of adulterated oils or synthetic oils. Now, there's been a lot of research done by Dr. Rourke and also Dr. Melissa Shelton, who's another vet who uses essential oils extensively as well. And they've looked at a lot of the evidence. And so that we know that a lot of these problems come when animals are using adulterated oils or synthetic oils. We also know that there's limited studies available. So a lot of the time it's the best available evidence. So working in the medical profession, you know, when someone comes in having ingested something, we go on a toxicology database and we look, and sometimes it will just be that we know death has resulted because of an ingestion of 100 milligrams, and it's one case, and that's all the evidence that we've got. And it's the same with animals. There is limited evidence, and a lot of the some of the data for things like citrus oils with cats, it all stems from some studies that were done looking at D-limonene, which is one of the constituents in lemon oil, and it being an insecticidal dip. So was it the D-limonene that was the problem, or was it the insecticidal dip? So this is where, and there's been another study that looked at how D-limonene was toxic to cat fleas, not the cat, but the fleas. But again, things like this get flagged up as evidence as to not being using them in cats and other animals. We also know that when there's been problems, it's generally been a case of incorrect dosing as well. And so that's whether it's a pure oil, adulterated oil, or, you know, a synthetic incorrect dosing. And, you know, really akin to poisoning. Another great example is the case of, I think it was 3 cats, 60 mils of tea tree oil had been spilt on a floor. 60 mils, that's 4 of our doTerra bottles. And it wasn't a doTerra oil, but it was, you know, this is just an example. And the cats had rolled in it and everything, and sure enough, they went down with essential oil toxicity. But is that the fault of the tea tree, or is that the fault of the fact that a huge dose of oils was there for the cats to roll in? And again, it's all about inappropriate use. And, you know, this is the same with humans as well. You know, just recently I was talking about something that someone had said they'd put some essential oils on before they went on a sunbed, and sure enough, they got some irritation on their skin. You know, if you use these oils inappropriately, you are going to have problems. And that's exactly the same with anything that we use, you know, for medicines or just foods or things like that. Now, not all vets will know about use, and this is really important to recognize. A lot of the time it's like consult your vet. Same with humans, consult your doctor if you want. You know, I know a lot of my colleagues won't know about stuff. A lot of my colleagues don't know about nutrition. I've got a diploma in nutrition, but, you know, they will sometimes give bad advice, and it's not out of any fault of their own. It's just, you know, this is not something that you get trained in medical school. It's not something that people do a lot of continued education about unless they're actually got a specific interest. So generally they won't know. So it's really important as well that you have a vet that you can dialogue with, and you don't need to have a vet that is knowledgeable or uses essential oils. You just need them to be open. And I've got a vet like that. I've known him since I was at medical school. He was he'd just left vet school, thinks I'm completely bonkers, which is fine, but he knows I know my stuff and we can dialogue about it, and it's really, really refreshing. Okay, so a bit about safe use. Always use pure third-party tested oils. So our beautiful doTerra oils are absolutely awesome, but purity does not mean safe for all species, breeds or conditions, and that actually counts for humans as well. You know, there are some conditions and things that if you're on medications you should steer clear of a few oils. Always use within safe margins. I'm going to go into this in more detail in a minute. Be aware of cautions, contraindications and limitations, but they do complement very well with conventional treatment. It doesn't have to be either or. You can integrate the two. And, you know, it's a very rare walk sometimes that my springers don't come back with blood on them because they're springers. But, you know, sometimes it's just my oil. Sometimes I may need to call my vet, and we use both. You know, that doesn't have to be either or. So this is something I really want to sort of make clear, that natural can still be toxic. Okay, even water has a toxic dose. And I often use the example, I don't know if anyone's old enough, probably, hopefully they will be, not just me, old enough to remember Leah Betts, who died in Essex after being out at a party on her 18th birthday and taking ecstasy. Now, she didn't die of ecstasy. What she died of was the increased consumption of water. She drank 7 litres of water within 90 minutes. And this led to a condition called hyponatremia, where you have too little sodium in your blood because the water's diluted it. It can lead to convulsions, coma, and ultimately death, which is what happened to her. This can happen with our pets too. This is my dogs, Seren and Evie. They love playing in the water and going to fetch a ball, but if you let them do that too much, they can ingest too much water and they can also get hyponatremia, so short sessions. So I just say this to demonstrate that natural can still be toxic. You know, a lot of the things that we have, you know, water, we need it every day. I've got it here in my glass, but you've got to still use it within its safety limits. Now, there's lots of tests that go on with a lot of things as to what the lethal dose is, and there's a horrible test called the LD50 test, which stands for lethal dose 50%, and this is basically where they have a group of animals where they inject or they force feed them, and it's to see whether the amount of animals, 50% of the animals die with what dose. So this tends to be the best evidence as to what the therapeutic dose is, if it is a therapeutic dose, and what the toxic dose is. So you always should be operating well within the safety margins of an oil, and always be aware of what the side effects are and the limitations are, and I will be explaining that later. Also, keep out of reach of your pets as well. You know, make sure all your bottle lids are on tight. I mean, that brown dog in that picture, she can open a Kilner jar. So don't think that your dog, you know, I have no doubt that if Seren wanted to get to Capaba, which she loved, she would probably chomp right through the lid of the Capaba. So, you know, keep it right out of reach of your pets. And so they can't knock over diffusers and things like that. So let's get to the fun stuff rather than the sad and depressing stuff. So how to use the oils. Aromatically is one of the great ways to find out what your dog needs and how to support them. So there's a process called self-selection, and this is really helping your dog and finding out what it is your dog needs. So you always want to offer with the lid on. I'm going to go through this a bit more in a bit, but the benefits of this is you can see whether your dog really responds to it, whether they want it. On the picture on the right, this is my dog Seren. She just wants everything you give her. You know, if you offer her something, she's like, yeah, gimme, gimme, gimme. So I tend to put the oils down on the floor. These are all 5 oils that I know she likes. So I've taken the lid off. We've got Balance, we've got Bergamot, we've got Capaba, which is what she's sniffing, Melissa and Cardamom there. And she's just got free reign to go and sniff whatever it is she wants. And you can do a little bit of detective work here as well, because what you can do if you're not sure what's going on, you can actually just put some oils down, and it gives you a little bit of a clue, because you can use reference to like the Essential Oil and Emotions book and find out what those oils mean for emotional reasons as well as physical things as well, in other obviously texts, and it can guide you a bit, do a little bit of detective work. But sometimes we need to choose to, we shouldn't always just think that we should allow our dogs to self-select. You know, it's really beneficial to do that, but sometimes we have to advocate for them too. So I know my dog Rowan, if I offer him Balanced Blend when he gets in my van, he's going to reject it. He doesn't need it. He's quite happy. But the minute I put my car in gear and start moving, he gets stressy. So I put Balance in there and I'm diffusing it, even though I know that at first giving it to him, he's not going to be keen on it, but I know that's exactly what he needs. Okay, so some do's and don'ts of self-selection. So always give your dogs or your animals space. You offer from a distance, approach slowly, offer first with the lid on. Observe subtle signs. So animals have an extra olfactory organ called the vomeronasal organ that's in their mouth. So you may see them lifting up their lip, you may see some lipping. Watch what they're doing, and you might get a positive, a negative, or a neutral. Now, some of my dogs, a neutral sign I will review as a positive sign, and in other dogs I will review it as a negative. So my dog Seren, if she gave me a neutral sign, I'd be like, she doesn't want that oil. But Rowan and Bambi are just so cool. They just like, yeah, I'm good with the oils. They either generally give me a neutral or a negative sign. So unless they're really desperate for something. So you just got to learn, and you'll soon learn what they do. They've all got different ways. Sometimes they'll have an inhalation and suddenly turn their head away, and then they'll come back slowly. So don't rush it, take your time. Obviously use the oils, as we've said, with full traceability, like our beautiful doTerra ones, often little and often. So it's much better to do it at different sort of times throughout the day than just in one big dose. Switch the oils around. Dogs can get really used to a scent and it becomes like a white noise, so that you won't have the same effects. So, you know, it doesn't have to be the same oil all the time. Do use variety. And obviously when you give the dogs or horses, I always use the word dogs just because I've got so many, but don't crowd your dog. Don't give too many choices. So usually I'll just do 3 or 4. And don't be rigid in expectation. And so this is something that I really learned the lesson about. So when I did my course, we weren't allowed to use blends, and I was like, oh my goodness, no balance, no AROMATouch, no On Guard. And so I started having to look outside the box. And what I found amazed me is Evie picks thyme and marjoram a lot, and I would never have used those oils. I think apart from using them in some cooking, I'd never use them for anything at all. And now they're just, you know, they're really popular oils to use in my home. So it's just be open to exploring. So you find out what your dogs want, and then you can put them in the diffuser. And I don't tend to do this every day, but I know what oils my dogs don't want to be diffused, and I know which ones they really, really like. But you can really use self-selection really usefully to help choose. Sorry, I think there might be some background noise in a minute. I'm just going to shut my window. Okay, so self-selection to choose and diffusing. Now, there can be a bit of negative a bit of a negative response from traditional animal aromatherapists about using diffusing with animals, and I don't really understand why. And I brought this up on my course as well, and Dr. Rourke was like, you know, there isn't really any proper reason, and I just think it's the fact that animals aren't choosing, and it's because of that. But you want to always allow your pet to exit the room. That's the big thing, and only use between 1 to 6 drops in the Petal 2 diffuser, or something appropriate. So I always use the Petal 2 because I love the fact that it's got 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off, an intermittent setting, which is ideal to use with pets. But they really do get a load of benefits. So this is Seren Spaniel. She's lying on my bed as close as she can get to that diffuser, as you can see. She absolutely loves the diffuser. Now, one thing you do need to be aware of is when you are diffusing, you will get little droplets of the oil landing on your dogs or you as well. Now, it's not too much of an issue for my dogs, but for animals that really groom themselves, you need to be mindful of that. So that will be things, animals like bunnies and birds, and obviously cats. So in here, I've actually got lavender in the diffuser here, which is safe because I've got a bunny running around the room here. Now, this is my dog, Inca. This is fireworks night, and I live in the city centre of Manchester, and fireworks night, it is like a war zone. There are so many bangs. She is literally next to the piano there. She's chosen that bed, and the diffuser is on my piano. And so she is just there. She was completely chilled. I actually did a video of this and did a live just to say how brilliant this was. Now, what I would say as a caveat, if you have got any animals that are really stressed about fireworks night, you can't just put oils in the diffuser on fireworks night and expect that it's just going to magically help. It probably is going to help to a certain extent, but you are going to get more benefit by doing it slowly and gradually introducing the oils to them when they are calm and reinforcing the calmness that way than you will just by doing it as a one-off. And so it literally, because she is so sensitive to sound, I spent months building up, and fireworks night came and it was brilliant. We had no problems at all. And like I said, I could actually do a live video with all these explosions going off, and Inca just completely and utterly chilled. And I've got a video about it on my page, how to do it as well. So if anyone wants to see that, have a look, or I can send you the link. Okay, so a little bit more about aromatic use. So once you've found the oils and everything, apply it to your pet. You might want to you dilute it appropriately, apply it to their chest or the back of their neck. and their spine is really great, especially you know, obviously because they can't get to it the same. You might want to put a drop on a collar or a bandana. Diffuse in the car. The Pilot diffuser, if you haven't got one and you've got a dog that gets stressed traveling, get it. It's a brilliant for the car. This is her out on a walk. Actually, we were using Adaptive. The kids rollers or are really good as long as they haven't got any of the oils that shouldn't be used around dogs. And I just want to tell you a little story about rose oil, because it just shows how great aromatic benefits are, and also how great it is if you actually work with your vet. So Inca had to have an MR scan in February. This was, I'd been trying to organise, me and my vet had been trying to organise this for absolutely months, but because of COVID, it was really difficult. And I obviously didn't want her to go into the vets that she didn't know without me, because this was just going to stress her out and it was going to be counterproductive. So we had to find a specialist centre that would let me attend with her. I had to have PCR tests and everything going in full PPE and all that, which is fine. Anyway, so we've gone down there. We'd got rose oil the day before. She practically ripped the box out of my hands to get to this rose oil. She'd never had it before. So offered her rose oil. She just actually had it. And we headed down to this specialist centre. And I literally took this bag of oils that you see in the picture, because I was like, everything. I don't know how she's going to react. She's at a vet she doesn't know. She's with vets that she doesn't know. They were men as well, just to make the matters worse. She's away from all her siblings. So I just took everything that I knew she liked. And she had to have this anaesthetic, and the vet, who was a lovely man, but he said, well, you can come in the room, but you're not going to be able to restrain her. And I said, but she's going to freak out. She wouldn't even let this vet near her. I mean, literally, she wouldn't go near him at all. She couldn't. She just was trying to get away from him. It was really horrible. And he was lovely, and I said, but you know, and he said, but you can't restrain her. And I said, but you know, I know how to restrain her. And but he just, and I thought, well, I've got to try and do something. So we had the rose oil. So we went in the room for 10 minutes, took her bed in. I had the rose oil on her, I had it on me, I had it on my neck. She was inhaling it, and I'm not kidding, within 10 minutes that vet came back in. She let him sit next to her, let him stroke her. She didn't even need restraint for this injection. It was absolutely unbelievable. No one could believe this. And for those of you who might be trainers or behaviorists, you might think, oh, was she flooded? And this is where dogs are so overwhelmed with stresses that they just give in. That wasn't the case with her at all. She was just really calm. It was beautiful. And in actual fact, what happened was they were really impressed with the oils and really interested in some research. And it was actually decided that medication wasn't in Inca's best interests because of the side effects for a blind dog. And so I actually had a consultation, a real MDT with Dr. Rourke in Texas, the neurologists as well. And she actually got an essential oil protocol that they were really happy that she was on. And so this is really how nice it is, being able to dialogue with your vets and being able to have that sort of interaction and, you know, finding out. And certainly when I'm doing consultations, if it's for specific ailments, I only work on a vet referral, because also with emotional work, sometimes it can be physical ailments that are causing your dog to display different emotions that, you know, so it's always really important that you do get your dog checked out by a vet. Topical application. So this obviously leads in from aromatic. So once you know what your dog likes, you can apply it. Always dilute, apply where needed. So Maz, he chose some different oils. This is the picture of my two-legged dog on the right, some rosemary, and I think capabra, and there was one other thing I can't remember in there. He chose that, and I massaged it all into him where he needs it on his shoulders. Always dilute appropriately, but if for emotional support, you might want to pop it on their chest or at the back of their neck, just below their skull. One of the places like we do with humans, you can either pop it on the skin, or with close-haired dogs, you know, there is some evidence that actually the hair helps absorb the oils. And that's one of the theories that's put forward as well to why some of the smaller animals like rabbits and chinchillas are more sensitive to oils, because the hair is so much finer. But really great support for emotional support, physical health. This is Bambi with my essential oil emergency kit. He had an ouchie the other day. So in my van, we're in a field, I've got my essential oil emergency kit, and, you know, jobs are good. And, you know, a bit of helichrysum on the wound. Absolutely. You know, really great, appropriately diluted and everything. And obviously we've got bug repelling properties as well. So, you know, we've got some great options to support our animals. Now, internal use. Now, there's lots of systemic benefits from using some of our oils and supplements internally, but it does depend on species and weight. This is my dog's meal. Now, there are a couple of plastic bowls in there, and I just want to make it sort of reiterate, don't put the oils on a plastic bowl because it will erode the plastic. It needs to be mixed in with something, and I tend to put it on the top of their food so that they get sort of more of a sort of a buccal absorption rather than it going into the stomach. So some things that are really, really good. So the IQ Mega, the omega-3 is a lovely product for fish oil. It's really great to support our dogs, and generally you're going to be giving it sort of 500 milligrams per sort of 10 pounds of body weight of your pet. Then we've got the deep blue polyphenol complex, which is suitable for dogs and horses over 22 kilograms. PB Assist can be used with dogs, not the kids one, and only use over 12 kilograms, but not the kids ones because that's got xylitol in. So you need to be really mindful of that. And the same with the toothpaste, it's not suitable for animals. Terrazyme is amazing, and it can be used in cats and dogs. It's not generally needed for large animals like horses. And you're going to be using like under 10 kilograms, you can use half a Terrazyme twice a day. Over 10 kilos, you can use 1 Terrazyme. And in cats, you can just use a third to a half a capsule 1 to 2 times. And you can just split those capsules, but only put it on the food just before you're ready to serve because it will start digesting it. And then these are some of my favorite oils for food. To put into that, internally is turmeric, frankincense, copaiba, and DDR prime, but again, all very much dependent on your needs and the animal in question. So generally dogs and horses, but also birds as well. Cats not generally internally because they will get stuff that's put on there from grooming, but there is a couple of exceptions, but you just need to be very mindful of what you put on a cat because they will take it internally. Okay. Oh, I should have said on that slide as well, basically one drop over 10 kilograms of weight for a dog, under 10 kilograms, and a cat toothpick method. Okay, so that's when you put the toothpick in the orifice of the essential oil bottle and then swirl in the food. Okay, so my top 10 for animals, this is really hard and they're not in an order, okay, because it's impossible. So lavender, both amazing. Lavender and frankincense, both amazing for calming and soothing, but also great for cellular health. Lavender, great for the skin, as well as frankincense, absolutely awesome. And very safe for most animals as well. I'm diffusing lavender in here. Sometimes I diffuse frankincense for my rabbit, Doris. She had a hip injury back in the autumn last year, recovered really, really well, but just wasn't grooming herself. She was jumping all over my bed, so physically she was fine. And as soon as I started diffusing lavender daily, she just started grooming herself. So really safe, but again, very mindful that, some droplets can land on her. So you've got to use sort of small doses. So I just put about 1 or 2 drops in my diffuser here. Copaiba, what did we do with that copaiba? It's amazing. So pretty much it's just brilliant. Dogs, cats, horses, other animals. It's just so good on so many levels to support the different systems in the body. Zengest, I love this. It's very, very great for horses, bunnies, dogs, also cats. Really great diluted, just apply to the tummy. You can have it in food as well, certainly for the dogs. Cats might not want it, but certainly for the dogs, and also good for diffusing as well. If any of your dogs have a bit of motion sickness, it can be really supportive, as it is for humans as well, because I certainly have that problem. So I'll always take some Zengest to support myself before getting in a vehicle if I'm not driving. Balance Blend is amazing. It's already diluted, so certainly for dogs over about 10 kilograms, you don't need to dilute it. You can diffuse it. It wasn't really designed to be diffused because it's already got fractionated coconut oil in. So make sure you do clean your diffuser out between uses, because it just leaves a residue. But really great if you've got cats that are aggressive. This can be really great for helping balance their emotions. Really great for the dogs applied topically. Or aromatically. This is a favorite of mine before we go in any vehicles. On Guard, again, amazing. If any of your dogs are poorly, diffuse this. This is really going to help. And also before going to the vets, if they're having any treatment, I'll always put a drop in or in their food, or afterwards, for a couple of days, just 1 drop just to support their immune system. It's absolutely fantastic. It's really worth having a look on the doTerra website and reading about the BioSeek study, because that was just absolutely stunning info. Peppermint, great for dogs. Horses love peppermint, not for your cats or your bunnies, but great to add to Terra Shield to help with repelling ticks. Also useful for repelling rats as well. I had a rat in my shed and I put some an empty peppermint bottle in there, and I've not had a problem since. So really useful there as well. Wild Orange, so this is one of Inca's favorite oils, very good for dispelling fear and uplifting Bunnies love what citrus oils. They absolutely love them. So I'll often offer a bottle to them. I might diffuse that as well. And I know Doris really loves it. Then we've got Terra Shield, which is the outdoor blend. Really, really great to use. Can be used on, obviously, us humans, but also great to apply to dogs. I tend to just either apply it on the back of my dogs and smooth it down. Can be applied to cats. It's got catnip in, so they will really love it. Great for litter tray training as well. Bit of Terra Shield in there. Obviously, if you put peppermint in your Terra Shield, don't be putting it on your cats, okay? And then we've got AROMATouch, which is the massage blend. I use that on my dogs a lot. You can use it on horses, not for your cats. But it's really, really soothing for them. I use it for sort of warm up for a canicross running, and also post run as well, but also as a general massage for my dogs. And they will actually seek me out to get the AROMATouch. I absolutely love it. Some extras that are really good for getting on your points is Melissa, Myrrh and Rose, 3 amazing power oils that have just got so many benefits that I couldn't too long to go into, but obviously I've already spoken about Rose. And then don't forget things like the cleaner concentrate and the hand wash. So this is Maz, and I'm actually mopping my floor with the cleaner concentrate, and I've had to mop my floor, you know, several times a day. He does wear a nappy that he takes off because he's actually incontinent, and I use this, and this is brilliant. And if you actually read the bottle of the cleaner concentrate, it actually says, if ingested, drink a glass of water to dilute. How many cleaning products do you know that says that on the back? So this is brilliant. So really a great product to use around the home. And I often put that or some hand wash in their bath. I always wash my dog's paws after we've got in from a walk, because vaccinations can't prevent all environmental threats. So I'm just one of these people that likes to be as supportive and protective as I can. Okay, I'm going to whiz, because we are running a bit short of time, I'm going to whiz through some of these slides. You can screenshot any information in there. You do need to be mindful of cats. Cats are lacking a liver enzyme. This is my cat Holly, where they don't have the same ability to metabolize essential oils. So you do need to be really mindful of them. Don't give oils to cats topically or internally every day. And obviously just be cautious about diffusing them as well. But so bunnies and small animals, similar sort of instructions to cats as well. They do love the citrus oils though, and you've just got to obviously dilute less, but really, really, bunnies can be really sensitive, but really effective use as well. Horses, probably the easiest really to use oils with, because they're so big and you can use them undiluted in many cases. If you're going to give oils to horses, they can have 1 drop per 45 to 90 kilograms of weight. So you can just pop it in their food, pop it in their water. Just don't apply oils to the saddle area prior to riding. Birds, lots of stuff on this slide, so just screenshot it if you know, but they can be really sensitive to oils. It's really important to be mindful of that, but they can really benefit. And chickens especially really, really love oregano. Sorry, I'm using the American term now, oregano, sorry. Really popular with chickens. Dogs are great, you know, obviously I use them extensively. This is my dog Rowan, and absolutely depends again on weight. When you've got these dilution gradients, it's always, you want to start off small. So 0.5% for smaller dogs, hot oils and puppies, up to 3%. Okay, so hot oils always a 0.5% dilution. So that's all our hot oils, like oregano, cassia, cinnamon, clove, rosemary and thyme. Things to be aware of. So generally hot oils are the ones that cause the problems, or blends containing hot oils. On Guard is different in that respect, although it does contain hot oils, because they're all diluted in a blend. The amount of the hot oil in that when you have a drop is reduced. So it's a really great oil that you can use. But you need to be mindful of hot oils with animals that are having seizures. And again, with On Guard, if you do have a dog that has seizures, introduce it On Guard very gradually and just monitor them. Pregnancy, asthma. If dogs have got a bleeding risk, they're going into surgery, or they're on anticoagulants, that's same for humans as well. Turmeric, it's a no-no, you know, got to be really careful. Again, it all comes back to that turmeric. This is the turmeric oil, but same with the powder. You've just got to be really mindful of that. Diabetic meds as well, be cautious. If they're on anti-anxiety or antidepressants, some of the oils can interfere with that. Generally, it's the hot oils again. So again, be mindful of that. And if an animal's on thyroid meds, then black spruce and fennel can interfere with the medication. So things to watch out for. If you first start using oils with your dogs, you need to be mindful of things like skin irritation, panting, drooling, squinting, rubbing face, vocalization, shaking, vomiting, or diarrhea. And if you've just started using them and you get any of these, then stop. You know, if you've been using oils for a time, as long as you're using appropriately, and some of these things occur, it might not be used due to the oils, because obviously, as you can appreciate, some of these signs can occur with so many other things. And I do know of cases, I was involved with one where it was, the vet went down an essential oil toxicity route, and it wasn't, the poor cat actually had cancer, but because of the they just started using oils, and it didn't fit. Liver function was all normal, but you've just got to be mindful. And this is where it comes to having a really good opportunity to dialogue with your vet. And if your vet isn't open, then you probably need to chat with another vet. So hopefully, sorry, it's a bit of a whistle stop and I've run over, so I do apologize, but if anyone's got any questions, do ask. Please, no disease names, so we can keep really compliant. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you so much there, Helen. That was amazing. So much content coming through, and I could see in the comments as well, people were loving your presentation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye for now.